Mercury keeps making associations, coordinating your body, interreacting with things, and it's curious and trying to find new associations, new ways of relating, extending itself. It doesn't like to be bored. It keeps wanting to change things. So, like I said, when it's positive, that's good. When it's negative, your thoughts can be changing things for the worse. So the ability to just make sense, function, communicate, look at, notice things that are going on, be sensually alert and coordinated. You said that nobody's got it perfect. Everybody's got some function, some stress, some complications. Who thinks perfectly? What's perfect thinking? Oh, they're so much smarter than me, I could never do that. Oh, I could never talk in front of people. Oh, I could never do this. There's a negative thought being imposed on our behavior. So it gets complicated or sophisticated or multi-tiered, multifaceted. But essentially, each planet is functioning. Before you even just look at your chart, it's functioning, and it's affected by Mercury. So your mind is affected by memories, by the habits, by everything how you're living, conditions how you're thinking. But it can't condition. If you get your mind to a peaceful place where you can stop thinking and it can just peace, then the memories can't impose on the thinking, on the alertness. Experience now can, but the past doesn't. It's easy to say, but when you're married, the in-laws come over, their in-laws are calling up, they're minding your business, they're doing things, oh my goodness, you talk to them. And then whole scenarios build up that can go on for years around this. It's a miracle. We can get a moment's silence. But being silent isn't just about talking. It's about thinking. So talking is an extension of thinking. How we express how we think. And how long can you be quiet for? How long can you talk for? I get a pumped up Mercury. I can talk for hours. But then I work to get a lot of content. But I still have to work to shut it down sometimes, just get quiet. To not let my mind be controlling everything. If your mind's controlling everything, you're not going to have any heart, or your heart's going to be minimized. Okay, we'll get there. We're going to get to the heart later. Right now we're looking at our mental coordination, our alertness, our thinking. So, excuse me. So as we have each planet affecting it, and the way I'm teaching this, I'm really just saying, here's the stress around between, the kind of stress that happens between two planets. If it's a good aspect or an easy aspect, what we call good aspects, the easy aspects are more lazy aspects, there's not going to be the stress. That's the interpretation. It's not going to be that stressful. It doesn't mean it can't at times be stressed when a moon or something comes up and affects it. But normally, we go along and so on. So a positive Mercury aspect to anything would just be a calmness between two planets, no disturbance, no stressful disturbance or disproportionate disturbance from another planet or another level of conscience. But if there is stress, there's going to be 9 different kinds of stress. And each planet has its own type of stress that can affect the way you think or challenge the way you make sense out of things or challenge the way you perceive things and how you make sense or nonsense about it. Boy, a lot of teenagers, things seem so negative. They look out, nothing's negative. Nobody wants them. Their parents are caught up in their world. They're so angry, and they get angry, and they get angry decisions, and they're disassociating their intelligence from what's going on and getting in a negative association. Boy, then one's lifestyle gets complicated if you maintain that for very long. I mean, to a yogi, maintaining that for a minute would be too long. So just today, how many more positive thoughts than negative thoughts have you had? Or have you had more positive thoughts than negative thoughts? Ooh. So that's all memory, that's all past now. But now, how positive or alert or how negative or doubtful are you right now? Hopefully your attention's been drawn in, you're trying to follow, you're trying to see this, so at least your mind is actively perceiving and taking in and thinking and trying to make sense and look at these things. It's gonna regurgitate, or it's gonna be going around, and you'll be reflecting on this, and this will take time to settle in, and you start out of this, you get a sense of what Mercury is, perhaps more than you had before. Every time you go to church, maybe you go and you learn it a bit more than before. But it still has its place in each of the other relationships. So if you're the second son, and you're in a family of 5, or you're the third daughter or the third son, or you're down in the pecking order, no matter what happens, you're still going to be down in that pecking order, but there's still going to be all the functions and all the things going on, and you're still fighting to get your take on it, even though what's seemingly there is not necessarily in your favor in certain ways. So when you're looking at Mercury, how alert is someone? Now you think, what do they think? How do they think? You can't assume just how someone thinks. You can see certain behavioral patterns. Each of the categories of the signs, each of the category of the houses, they're going to be different factors that are affecting the ways of thinking. But that doesn't mean you can't become brilliant in thinking about those different areas. Now you could be really brilliant, and still a couple of drinks can make you an idiot. A couple of wrong words said can start wars. So we have the thinking that's in ourselves, our body that coordinates all our immediate impressions, thoughts, being within ourselves. Then we're thinking of what we think the world is. Okay, the world, we're all part of the world. We're doing this, the news is marketing the world, what the world is, what concept of the world. Everyone has different concepts of the world. In a way, spiritually, we argue there's no such thing as a world. We're all just being and thinking, and from our different matrices, we're running into each other, exchanging information, changing points of interest or not interest. Whose thinking is right thinking, whose is not? Do you trust your own thinking, or trying to listen to someone else more? All of these factors. You grow up in a place where everyone's always telling you what to do and what to say, and just shut up, don't give your opinion. That's one thing. Now, so one person could go up that, become introverted, but have their inner thinking really strong because of that. Another person can feel they're totally damaged and never talk to anyone because of that. But even that, it's a mixture of Moon and Mercury. Memories coming up to affect the way you think, diet and habits coming up to affect the way you think. If you haven't eaten well, you haven't slept well, how are you going to think well? The good thing is, if you change your habits every day, you're changing your memories. If you make them more positive each day, your memories get better, and it improves the way you can think. Of course, it improves it more if you're not reading negative books or dark things, or you're not just watching TV. You'll be able to we have choices of how our mind gets occupied. The choices are really Venus. But we have a lot of mental clutter. How many people really experience a moment's silence, especially in today's electronic world? In the virtual world. Mercury thrives in the virtual world, but it only heals in the silence. Wow. Okay, so this is ongoing challenge with Mercury. These are discussions that go on for years and years, hours and hours, and we're just touching on the surface of them. So you get moments where you might get a glimpse of something. Oh, okay, just file it away. You'll come back, you run across, each time I go over things, I'm understanding it differently. I've matured it, I've seen it, I'm working with it, and it's still a puzzle. It's always easy to miss something. You can't just, someone thinks like this. No, you can't. It's not like that. You have to observe. You can't see someone's good or bad from a horoscope. You can see someone's got problems or stress then you have to observe whether they've dealt with it or are using that well or not. Then once you've seen that, you can begin to see how it might work in a chart. You begin to see how their life is affected by their chart. But you have to observe what a murderer and a saint could have the same chart. One built up dissociative ideas, one didn't allow the dissociative ideas to grow. Cool. But we have disassociative ability subjectively, and we have disassociative things about where we fit in out in the world, in the world, in the above the horizon world, in the functional relationship, career, status, friends, religion, all out faith, all out in that world. Where do you fit into that? Well, everybody has that puzzle. That's above the horizon. Now, so we've gone through the Mercury above, below, rising, setting. We've seen some of the textures of what we're more alert to than others, or the places that our mind tends to get pulled into. It can go everywhere, but it has a priority by where it is in your chart as a basic starting point or basic function. So someone could have Moon Mercury, you're expecting something from the habits, something from the moon is interfering or stressing things. So someone could be thinking, I gotta have an ice cream, I gotta have another ice cream, I gotta have another piece of cake, or I gotta have this. Someone could be always thinking about eating. Okay, or someone could always be talking about family matters or their memories, and they never get out of their memories, but they're always talking, this happened to me. Oh boy, that, and they're talking about their worries. You know, like, and they get these repeated memory patterns coming up to affect the thinking. That would be a stressful Mercury. Conjunction, square, opposition. Wouldn't necessarily be there quite so much on a sextile, on a trine, although at times it would. But it could, the same thing, it could be just, you have a domineering mother and you can't stand it, and every time she's around, she affects your thinking straight, telling you what to do, and you can't think straight. Or father, or someone from the family. Wow, that could be there too. So in astrology, when you look at the chart and you just say, there's the 12 houses, these categories are there. So Mercury will work this way. There's a tendency to interpret really grossly, oh, the moon's your mother, so you're not going to be able to talk to your mother. Or no difficulty in that reception. It's a partial truth, but it's certainly really gross in the decision-making factor rather than to see how alert you are on your habits. Because when you're doing that, you can change your habits. You can change the way you're thinking. You can't change the way your mom thinks. She has to do that herself. So these factors, what's peace, what's not peace? It's okay. Now, okay, we'll play with the Mercury and Moon a certain amount, and now let's just add Venus into the picture. So it's, you know, as we like in each level, we're understanding the planets and we're seeing its functions by how a planet's colored by attitude, how it goes into certain areas, subjective, objective, rising, setting, you know, how it functions in the seeming world or in life, and then the aspects are showing you how each layer of consciousness is interpenetrating each other, whether it's easily or stressfully. When it's stressed, you're having to figure this out. When you have a stress pattern and someone else doesn't, you're trying to explain something, the other person doesn't see it. Or they see it, oh, that's something in your world, they don't see it in their world. So how much is our thinking our own projection? And our lack of alertness to the whole mystery. Yet, this thinking and making associations is so important to our functional day-to-day life of getting up, eating, getting food, finding things, finding work to do, so who you're going to talk to, where you're going to go. It's all an integral part of Mercury's function.